Hi, I'm Silas. I left my family after they gave my brother a Tesla and handed me a bag of cleaning supplies. That would have been enough, right? But then I found out they used my savings behind my back and had the nerve to film a fake apology just to win me over. How do you forgive people who never even saw you? And what happens when you stop being useful and start being dangerous? The backyard smelled like smoke and sugar, grilled ribs and caramel frosting. Balloons twisted in the wind, tangled in one another like they were trying to escape. Laughter came in bursts, rising above the country music humming from the old speaker system we only pulled out for special occasions. But the sound didn't reach me. I stood on the edge of it all, watching the performance. My brother Tanner was in the center naturally. White polo, gold chain, that over-practiced half-laugh he used when he wanted everyone to remember he was the charming one. Mom hovered near him like a campaign manager, touching his arm, whispering into his ear, straightening his collar as if a wrinkle might ruin the celebration. I smiled because I knew how to. I nodded when people looked my way. But inside, I was sinking. Slow, quiet, and all too familiar. "Look at him," someone behind me whispered. "Such a bright future." Yeah, bright like a spotlight. And I'd been standing in his shadow for most of my life. I paid bills when Dad's overtime stopped. I covered groceries, picked up medicine, walked the dog, kept the house clean, bought the damn printer ink. All without a banner. No applause, no frosting-covered cake. Then it happened. Mom clapped her hands. All right, gift time." She reached under the buffet table and pulled out a large box wrapped in silver paper. A ribbon so wide it looked like it belonged at a car dealership curled at the top. I already knew what was coming. Everyone did. Tanner peeled the paper slowly, like a prince unwrapping a throne. Underneath, keys, and a photo of a brand new Tesla. "Are you serious?" Tanner shouted. "You got me a Tesla?" The crowd roared. Some clapped. I didn't. Dad patted him on the back like he'd won a scholarship. "You earned it, son." Bullshit. He failed 2 semesters at community college. Dropped out of one job because the schedule was too early. The only thing Tanner ever earned was a free pass. Then Mom turned to me. "And Silas," she said sweetly, "we didn't forget about you." She handed me a plain white gift bag. No ribbon, no card. It was light. I reached in. Dish soap, a multi-pack of sponges, a bottle of glass cleaner, latex gloves, paper towels. The smile on her face never wavered. "You're always so helpful around the house. We thought this would be practical." A few guests chuckled under their breath. Dad added, "Finally, you'll have the right tools for the job." And Tanner, Tanner, leaned in and whispered, "Try not to use it all in one day, Cinderella." I didn't flinch. Not even then. But something inside me tore. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. I set the bag down on the table. I didn't say thank you. I walked back into the house, slow and calm, like I was moving through honey. I grabbed my jacket, my keys, my wallet. Mom called from behind me. "Where are you going?" I didn't answer. What could I say that wouldn't explode? Dad yelled, "Don't make a scene." Tanner added, "You're seriously leaving? Over this?" As I stepped outside, the sun hit my face, hot and blinding. I got into my car, closed the door, and I breathed. Not relief, not peace, but decision. "I'm done," I whispered to the dashboard. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. That day didn't break me. It woke me up. The ceiling fan spun just fast enough to remind me I was still there. Still in the house I grew up in. The house that had seen every version of me. The obedient child. The quiet teen. The exhausted adult. The party had ended hours ago. The laughter had faded, the backyard lights unplugged, the guests gone. But the noise lingered in my head. I stared into the dark, motionless. My cheeks still felt the echo of their smiles, their jokes, the way my mother's voice rose like a commercial jingle when she handed me that damn gift bag. My chest was tight, like I'd swallowed something sharp, and it had lodged behind my ribs. I needed something, anything, to pull me out of the spiral. So I grabbed my phone. Just a quick peek, I told myself. Just check the bank. At least one thing in my life should still be mine. The screen lit up. I logged in and stopped breathing. A large withdrawal had been made from my savings 3 days ago, transferred directly to my parents' joint account. The amount? almost identical to the average down payment on a new Tesla. I blinked. Once, twice. My hands trembled as I clicked into the transaction. No explanation, no authorization, no text, no conversation, just taken. They used my savings. The money I built from skipping lunches, saying no to new shoes, working double shifts. I didn't spend that money on myself. I spent it on this family. Rent, groceries, medical copays, birthday cakes for people who barely remembered mine. And now it had bought my brother a luxury car. I sat there, teeth clenched, fists white-knuckled around the phone. There wasn't even a trace of shame in their faces earlier, just pride. Pride for him. "Don't overreact," I muttered aloud. But my voice was shaky, because deep down I wasn't shocked. Not really. This wasn't the first time they took something from me. It was just the first time I saw it in dollars. A memory surfaced, uninvited, unwelcome. During the party, I'd noticed Tanner laughing with his friends, holding a second gift bag. It had my name on it. I saw him wave it around, then set it down near the cooler and forget it as he soaked in the applause. I got up, slipped downstairs, careful not to wake anyone, and crept into the garage. The air was stale, heavy with gasoline and mildew. I dug through the trash bin, pushing aside greasy paper plates and deflated balloons. There it was, crumpled, slightly damp. Inside, a small box, a card. I opened it slowly. A necklace, silver, simple. The kind of thing my mother would have picked out when I was 15. The pendant was shaped like a compass. The card read, "You always carry us. This is for you to carry for yourself." My stomach twisted. So they had remembered me. They had prepared something real. But then they changed their minds. They looked at that necklace, probably just before the party, and decided I wasn't worth the gesture, that the cleaning supplies were more fitting. The necklace trembled in my hand. Or maybe that was me. Why? Why hold it back? What changed? What calculation did they make where I came up short? I wasn't angry in that moment. Not exactly. What I felt was emptier than rage. This house had always demanded my loyalty. But love? That was negotiable, reversible, withheld. Even kindness had a condition. I walked back inside, turned off my phone, and sat on the edge of my bed like a statue that no one visits anymore. They didn't forget me. They remembered, and decided I didn't matter. The sun bled through the blinds like it was trying to cleanse the room. My room. At least, that's what they still called it. But nothing in it felt like mine anymore. Not the dusty high school trophies on the shelf. Not the soft yellow curtains Mom insisted suited my calm energy. Not even the mirror over the dresser, which now only reflected the version of me they were comfortable ignoring. Downstairs, I heard the clink of plates and the low buzz of voices. They were laughing again, moving on. Resetting the scene like yesterday hadn't happened at all. "Morning, sweetheart," my mom called up the stairs, chipper like it was some sitcom opening. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and scanned through emails. Work junk, coupons, a single notification from my bank. I clicked it and froze. A recurring payment had processed overnight. A utility bill, not mine. I scrolled further. 3 more charges had cleared in the last 2 months, all tied to an account I hadn't touched since I moved back home. All linked to the address here. All draining my savings, quietly, automatically. My account was still connected to the family's autopay profile. They hadn't just borrowed my money. They'd installed a pipeline and forgot to tell me I was the reservoir. I called the bank, handshaking against the phone. "Looks like that payment profile was authorized back in March," the rep said. "Family plan, standard setup." "I didn't approve this," I said. My voice was flat. Not panicked, just cold. "Well, it was linked through the shared online account," she replied, tone clipped. "It might have been pre-authorized at setup." "Can I unlink it?" "Yes, but it might impact the next round of payments. Your name's still the primary on several accounts." Of course it was. Because I was the fallback. Always the fallback. I hung up. Sat there for a long moment staring at nothing. Then my phone buzzed again. This time a text from my cousin Aaron. "Hey, you okay?" Also, not sure if I should say this, but I have a recording from the party. Thought you should hear it. A minute later, the file came through. I hit play. Laughter, background music. Someone, probably Tanner, talking loudly about how the car finally matched his vibe. Then Mom's voice, clearer than anything else. "Oh, Silas? She's good for chores and bills. That's about it." The audio ended. Just that. Just 13 words. I listened again and again. My hand curled into a fist so tight I felt my nails digging into my palm. Not because she said it, but because it sounded so casual, so easy, like it wasn't even meant to be cruel. Just true. I stood up. I walked to the garage. The air was stale, heavy with the smell of garbage bags and burnt-out tiki torches. The remains of yesterday's performance were still there. Confetti stuck to duct tape, a deflated balloon clinging to a folding chair. And the trash. The same trash where they'd buried the necklace, where they buried me. I pulled out a duffel bag, clothes, laptop, wallet, birth certificate. Nothing sentimental, just what I'd need to survive. I zipped it shut. I didn't slam doors. I didn't yell. I walked back to my room, looked at the mirror one last time, and I didn't see the Silas they knew anymore. If they could forget my worth, I could forget this house. The silence felt wrong, like a room that used to echo with voices but had forgotten how. I woke up in my new apartment, a place I'd dreamed about for years, a space that was finally mine, and all I could feel was the weight of what wasn't there. No footsteps overhead, no TV blaring reruns of crime dramas from the living room, no nagging voice calling out for me to take the trash or fix something or be somewhere, just me, and the dull hum of my fridge. Freedom was supposed to feel lighter than this. I rolled over and reached for my phone, hoping for a distraction. 7 missed calls from Dad. My stomach twisted. I hesitated, then hit play on the most recent voicemail. Silas. His voice was quieter than usual, but not gentle, measured, cold. "Your brother's falling apart since you left. He's barely eating. He's not going to class. Your mother can't even talk to him anymore." Pause. "We needed you, and you walked out over a joke, over a misunderstanding." Longer pause, then the knife. "Is this really how you repay everything we've done for you?" I sat there, staring at the wall, the cracked paint near the window, the blinking Wi-Fi light across the room. Anything but my phone. They always knew exactly where to press. They didn't even have to shout. That was the trick. Make the guilt feel like your own idea. For a second, just a breath, I felt it creeping in, like maybe I had overreacted, like maybe I was the problem. But guilt is like mold. It grows in places you don't even know are cracked until it blooms. I grabbed my laptop, pulled up my spreadsheet of bills from the last year. Rent, groceries, utility payments, medical deductibles, all mine. My name, my dollars, my effort. I opened an old text from Tanner. "Can you spot me gas money again? Mom says you're better with this stuff." I had receipts, and I had memories. I remembered the night I worked an 11-hour shift and still came home to cook dinner because Mom said she was too exhausted from folding laundry. I drafted a reply to Dad, typed it all out, the receipts, the breakdown, the truth. Then I deleted it. I wasn't playing their game. Someone knocked on the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I hesitated, then peeked through the peephole. Micah. I opened the door slowly. He stood there with a bag of Thai takeout, wearing that half smile that had once been comforting and now felt rehearsed. "Thought you could use some curry," he said. "And company." I let him in. He didn't ask questions, just handed me the bag and sat across from me on the floor, like we used to do in college. For a few minutes, it was almost normal. Then he said it. "Your mom called me." I froze. She said she misses you, that none of this was what she meant. I set my container down. "How does she know where I live?" Micah looked down, fiddled with the takeout lid. "I might have mentioned it a while back, before you moved. I didn't think—" "You didn't think," I cut in. My voice wasn't loud, but it sliced clean. He sighed. "She sounded desperate. I thought maybe if she could talk to you." "Did she ask for my address?" He nodded. "And you gave it to her?" He didn't respond. That was answer enough. I stood up, backed away from him, just slightly, enough that he noticed. "You were the one person I didn't expect this from," I said. "The one person I thought got it." "I do get it," he said quickly. "But I'm stuck in the middle here." I shook my head. "If you stand in the middle too long, eventually, You're on their side." He looked hurt. But I didn't apologize. I didn't throw him out. I didn't scream. But I didn't sit down again either. And he didn't ask me to. The apartment felt like a vault. Not safe. Sealed. I hadn't turned the lights on all day. The blinds were drawn, and the only sound was the faint hum of the fridge cycling every 30 minutes like clockwork. I walked from room to room with no destination, no real reason, just pacing through stillness. My father's voice played in my head on loop. I hadn't wanted to hear it again, but it echoed anyway. The words clung like smoke. "You think she can just disappear? This is still my family." He didn't shout. That wasn't his way. He didn't need volume to crush you, just the implication that you owed him something, that you weren't allowed to take your life back without consequences. They never used chains. They used guilt, obligation, blood. I sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, staring at the voicemail Micah had forwarded. The full version, not the edited retelling he'd first mentioned. Dad's voice was calm, too calm, like a man issuing a warning he believed would be heeded. "You can try to help her, Micah, that's fine. But don't forget who we are. This isn't over just because she ran. She knows better." He paused. "You think she can just disappear? This is still my family. Still his. Still property. Still his orbit." I pressed the phone to my chest, then set it face down on the table. They weren't just trying to bring me back. They were preparing to punish me for leaving. "If they want war," I muttered to no one, "I'll give them rules." There was a knock at the door. I knew the rhythm before I looked. 2 quick taps, then 1 slow. "Micah." I opened the door a crack. He looked like hell. Messy hair, red-rimmed eyes, still wearing yesterday's shirt. "Can we talk?" he asked, voice rough. I stepped aside. He didn't waste time. "I messed up," he said, "and I need to tell you something before it gets worse." I said nothing. Let him sweat. "I should have told you sooner," he began. "But there was a time, before you came back, when Tanner and we hooked up." I blinked. He rushed ahead. "It was short. It was messy. It was nothing serious. But it happened. And I stayed close to your family afterward, because I guess part of me thought it didn't matter. I wasn't trying to hide anything. I didn't know how to explain it." I stared at him, not blinking, not breathing. "You weren't just close to my family," I said quietly. "You were inside it." He flinched. "All this time I thought you were on my side, that you understood, but you weren't neutral. You were compromised." "I didn't mean to." "You don't get to mean anything anymore," I said. He stood there, helpless. I could see in his face he didn't expect grace. He was right. I walked to the door, opened it wide. He didn't move. I didn't speak, and slowly he walked out. I closed it behind him, didn't lock it, didn't need to. He wouldn't be back. I didn't slam the door, but I didn't open it again either. I sat back down, opened my laptop, pulled up a blank browser tab, typed, "Civil litigation lawyer, Dallas TX. Whatever comes next, I won't be caught off guard again." The email subject line was plain. "You should see this." No sender name, no context, just 5 words sitting in my inbox like a dare. For a few seconds, I didn't move. I stared at the screen, index finger hovering over the mouse like it might explode when I clicked. And then I did. It opened to a video, low quality, shaky. Someone had clearly set up a phone on a makeshift tripod. Tanner was in the frame, eyes red, voice low, face carefully contorted into something that resembled remorse. "I miss you, Silas," he said, pausing just long enough between syllables to mimic emotion. "I know I messed up. We all did. But we want you back. We need you." Behind the camera, a voice, Mom's, gently corrected. "Slower, more feeling, start from the top." My breath caught. The camera rolled again. Same tears, same speech. "Take 3, Mom's voice called from off-screen. And that's when I paused it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to laugh or scream. They hadn't just lied. They rehearsed the lie, produced it, edited it, packaged it as if they were the victims now, casting me as the cold-hearted daughter who couldn't accept an apology. I hit play again, needing to finish what they started. Tanner's voice cracked on cue, his shoulders trembling as if he was carrying the world. It ended with a graphic in the corner. "Final version, ready to send." Attached beneath it was a second file. Raw footage, do not share. I opened it with a click. This time, Tanner didn't cry. He wiped his eyes with his shirt, turned to someone behind the camera, and smirked. Think she'll fall for that? Mom's laugh was soft but audible. She always wants to believe the best. Let's hope she's still that naive. I didn't flinch. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it wasn't surprising. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a performance, and I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was an audience they no longer controlled. I closed the laptop, then opened it again. I created a folder in an encrypted cloud account and labeled it Insurance Don't Touch Me Again. Uploaded both videos, marked them private. Then I opened a blank message. Typed, "Next time you fake love, try not to film the rehearsals." Paused. Deleted it. Too soon. Too clean. Instead, I walked to the window. The city was still, dusk creeping in over the rooftops like spilled paint. Somewhere down the street, someone was barbecuing. A child screamed in delight. Life, indifferent and unapologetic. I sat back down, eyes fixed on the desktop wallpaper. An old photo of me at 16, standing with a backpack too big for my frame, smiling like I believed that if I just tried hard enough, they'd love me back. I changed the wallpaper. Not because I was erasing her, because she deserved better than to be trapped in that hope. They thought they could manipulate me with tears and a shaky voice. But tears don't carry weight when they're rehearsed. If they're playing dirty now, it's only because they know I've already won something they never had. Control. It came in a thick, unmarked envelope. No logo, no return address, just my name printed in black ink that looked like it had been spat out by a machine rather than written by a person. I slid it open with a steak knife. Inside was a stack of documents. Heavy, official, and cold. The first page read, Default Notification Vehicle Loan Hash, 4,539.22 cosigner, Silas Keaton. My stomach turned cold. I flipped through the pages. Payment schedules, missed installments, warning clauses. I hadn't signed anything. I hadn't even known. And yet, there it was. My name, my social, my liability. I didn't sit down. I walked in circles, the documents rattling in my hands. I read them again, this time slower, trying to find the loophole. The line that said this was a mistake, there wasn't one. I called the bank. The woman on the other end spoke like she'd rehearsed this speech 1,000 times. Maybe she had. You are listed as the cosigner on the vehicle loan ending in -22, she said. It was filed jointly under a shared residential address. Based on documentation submitted at the time, consent was assumed. Assumed by who? By the primary applicants, Walter and Marla Keaton. My parents. They used my old paperwork, my credit, my name. I didn't speak for several seconds. The silence on my end dragged long enough that she finally said, "Ma'am?" "I'm not paying a cent for their lies," I replied, calm and sharp. "Understood," she said. But I could hear the shrug in her voice. This wasn't her problem. I hung up. The rage didn't come like fire. It came like ice. Clean, focused, deadly. I opened my contacts and tapped on Lauren's name, a paralegal I'd once helped with a freelance kitchen remodel for her aunt's vacation rental. She owed me. She answered on the second ring. "Silas? Hey, everything okay? I need a consumer rights lawyer, someone who won't flinch if things get ugly." Pause. I got just the guy. By nightfall, I was on a video call with a man named Dylan Reyes, suit jacket over a graphic tee, eyes sharp behind blue light glasses. He didn't blink when I explained what had happened. He just nodded, took notes, and asked precise questions. "Do you have proof you didn't consent?" "I have everything," I said. "Emails, account logins, no communication about this, not a word." "Good," he said. "Let's start with a cease and desist and a formal revocation of cosigner liability. Then we'll go from there." I stayed up until midnight gathering screenshots, timestamps, past text messages. Tanner asking for gas money again, my mom promising, "We'll figure out the car another way." They'd figured it out all right, by turning me into collateral. This wasn't emotional anymore. This was war on paper. Somewhere around 2 a.m., I closed my laptop and stared at my reflection in the dark screen. I looked tired, not from work, from betrayal. It would cost money. It would cost time. It would cost parts of me I hadn't even named yet. But I wasn't walking back now. They'd pushed me. I was pushing back, with ink, law, and blood-stained logic. They wanted me quiet. What they'll get is public record. I clicked send on the first legal notice, and exhaled. The voicemail came just after lunch. My phone buzzed once, then went still. No second ring, no text. Just a notification. New voicemail from Mom. I let it sit there for an hour. Maybe longer. I folded laundry. I checked my bank app. I watered the plant I kept forgetting to kill, but eventually I pressed play. I know we hurt you. Her voice cracked, barely above a whisper. I'm sorry. I don't know how to fix this. That was it. No bargaining, no gaslighting, no guilt. Just a sentence spoken from somewhere between defeat and regret. I played it again. Not because I needed to hear it, but because I needed to make sure it was real. I didn't cry. I didn't call back. The next day, a letter came, handwritten. No return address, no note on the envelope. Just my name, scrawled in a way I hadn't seen in years. The kind of script that belonged on birthday cards and permission slips. Back when things still looked like love. I unfolded the paper and sat on the edge of the bed. She wrote about her childhood. How she got a full-ride scholarship to a state university, but turned it down when her father died, and her mom had 3 younger kids to feed. She stayed. She worked. She did what had to be done. I thought I was making the right choice, she wrote. Maybe I expected you to do the same. That wasn't fair. I read the line again. That wasn't fair. For once I believed her. Not because I wanted to, but because it sounded like the truth. Stripped of excuses. No layers of performance. Just a person trying to make sense of their own damage. I set the letter aside and stared at the ceiling, thinking of the moments between the hurt, the quiet gestures, the ones that didn't undo the harm but hinted that maybe it hadn't always been intentional. She used to pack my lunch when I forgot. I'd get to school and find a banana, a sandwich, and a little sticky note that said, "Breathe. You're stronger than you think." She was the one who sat through my full FAFSA form the night before it was due, even though she barely understood how to use the internet. She cried during my high school graduation. Not loudly, not with pride, more like something she was mourning. I held onto those things like pennies, small, not valuable on their own, but together they weighed something. Was it enough? I didn't know. I picked up my phone and opened my messages, typed out 2 drafts. One was a simple response. Thank you for the letter. I hope you're well. The other, please don't contact me again. I've said all I need to. I deleted both. Not because I was indecisive, but because I didn't need to decide right now. Forgiveness isn't always a door you open. Sometimes it's just the lock you stop checking. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. The letter still sat on the nightstand. I stared at it, then took it in my hand. I didn't fold it carefully. I didn't preserve it like something I might return to. I lit the gas burner and watched the edges curl into ash, and for the first time in weeks I smiled. Not because I had healed, but because I had stopped bleeding. I won't go back, but I won't carry it with me either. The silence didn't feel like a void anymore. It was a border, a boundary that marked everything I had left behind, and everything I'd chosen to build beyond it. My mornings were no longer urgent. I didn't wake to tense shoulders or unfinished conversations echoing from the night before. I woke to stillness, to coffee brewed the way I liked it, to my own voice in my own head. Not theirs. There were no more calls, no voicemails, no threats, no apologies draped in guilt. And for the first time in my adult life, I realized, quiet isn't loneliness when you've earned it. The plaque on my desk reads, Founder Keaton Interiors. It sits next to a cup of pens I never use, and a half-dead succulent I refuse to throw away. I work out of a co-working space now, light-filled, noisy in all the right ways. The woman across from me runs an online bakery and plays lo-fi beats that somehow calm my nerves while I design kitchens that feel like peace. I started with nothing. No capital, no clients, no handouts. I learned email marketing on YouTube. I cold pitched 10 people a day. My first project was a laundry room makeover for a neighbor's friend's cousin, and I didn't get paid on time, or fully, but I finished it anyway. I built slow. I learned faster. 1 client became 3, 3 became 7. I filed my LLC paperwork 2 months ago, and the name I chose wasn't accidental. Keaton. Not as a tribute, but as a reminder. Because every time someone signs a contract with me now, it's my name they write. Mine, without theirs on top of it. 2 weeks ago, an email arrived in my inbox. The sender name stopped me cold. Marla Keaton. I hovered over it, then clicked. I saw your site. I'm proud of you. I hope you're okay. That was it. No hidden barbs, no undercutting compliments, no hint of asking for anything in return. I didn't reply, but for once, not out of bitterness, out of peace. Closure isn't always a door you close. Sometimes it's the one you choose not to open again, even when the key's still in your hand. That night I walked through downtown Dallas. The air was soft, autumn trying to push summer out of the way. I passed a cafe and saw a young mother laughing with her son, handing him a piece of cookie he'd already dropped. He didn't care. Neither did she. The moment stung in a way I couldn't explain, but I kept walking. I forgive her, not for her sake, for mine. I'll never forget the betrayal, the manipulation, the weight they put on my shoulders. But I don't carry it now. I remember it the way you remember an old injury, aching sometimes but no longer bleeding. I'm not the daughter they tried to design. I'm the woman I built myself into. Back in my apartment, I opened my laptop and reviewed my weekly project list. 5 clients, 2 renovation proposals, 1 networking event, and then 1 new email. Subject, referral. Interested in kitchen redesign. I smiled. They tried to write my ending. I built my own empire instead. Some people inherit legacies, others inherit expectations. I inherited silence and had to fight for the space to speak. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that boundaries aren't betrayals. Saying no to people who constantly take isn't cruelty. It's self-respect. And walking away doesn't mean you gave up. Sometimes it means you finally chose yourself. I used to think family was unconditional, but love without accountability is manipulation. I had to unlearn loyalty that was rooted in guilt and replace it with loyalty to my own future, my peace, and my potential. If you've ever been made to feel like your worth depends on what you can do for others, please hear this. You are more than your usefulness. You are allowed to leave, to rebuild, to be better than what they expected of you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved to save yourself? How did it change you? Drop a comment, type 1 if this story touched you, or tell me where you're watching from. And if this story meant something to you, if you felt seen, validated, or just understood, please subscribe to the channel. More stories are coming. You won't want to miss them.